Welcome back, MTN Giants podcast previewing Week 10 in Germany. The Giants will be on the road. I guess the Panthers are too, but the Panthers are technically the home team, but it's the Giants at the Panthers for this Week 10 matchup. The Giants are 6.5-point favorites, which you will not see probably the rest of the year. As a fan who wants the Giants to lose games and get a higher pick, I have to accept the fact that they're going to win this game. I just don't see the Giants losing this game. Of course, I hope I'm wrong about it, but it feels like the Giants will go there, win by 2 touchdowns, go into their bye week, and at least buy themselves 2 weeks of, I guess, having some peace. Because obviously at 2-7, you had higher expectations this year. The year has not gone the way they've wanted to, but I do think things will go well for the Giants on Sunday morning. So anyway, we'll preview the game, talk about the Panthers offense, defense, where they rank. We'll talk about the injuries. We'll do the NFL spread picks at the end, which, by the way, very good spread picks last week. I think I went like 11-2-1, so well over 500 now. Great week for that. But hope you guys enjoy, leave a like, and let's get into it. So right now the Giants are on a 4-game losing streak. Carolina was on a 5-game losing streak, but they beat the Saints last week in Carolina. Like a last-second type of win. They had to break up a Derek Carr pass to Cedric Wilson, of all people, and they won that game. So I was happy for Bryce Young, and Bryce Young will once again draw the start in this matchup. I don't know why it took them so long to announce a starter, but it did. I kind of feel bad for Andy Dalton because he was starting. His first 2 games went pretty well, but then he had that car accident where he hurt his thumb, and he kind of got benched because of that. But at the end of the day, like if you're the Panthers, you might as well see what you have in Bryce Young, so I get it from that perspective as well. Some of the key injuries, the Panthers are going to be without Ike Ekwonu at left tackle. Of course, he was taken between Kayvon Thibodeau, Evan Neal in that 2022 draft. Adam Thielen, the veteran receiver, he blew out his hamstring back in like week 3, week 4. He will miss this game as well. Jonathan Brooks, the rookie running back, coming off the ACL tear last year, he will possibly make his season debut. They do have their bye next week, so it's like maybe you just wait another week, but at the same time, they've pretty much held him out for a while now, so we might see the NFL debut of Jonathan Brooks. For the Giants, you're still without Kayvon Thibodeau. You're without Darius Slayton this week with a concussion, a big chance for Jalen Hyatt to have a nice game here. So Slayton, I don't think will be making the trip. I'm sure long plane rides, concussions don't mix too well, so I'm pretty sure he will be staying home and not making that trip. Chris Hubbard has an illness, the left tackle, but he should be playing. He's questionable, but I do believe he'll be playing. If not, more Josh Ezeudu at left tackle, so either way, they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. The left tackle spot is horrendous. There are 2 C. Hubbards in this game. Fun fact, Chuba Hubbard and Chris Hubbard. I remember the last time the Giants played the Panthers, Chuba Hubbard had the opening kickoff fumble, which was big, and the Giants ended up winning that game by, 4 or 5 points. Jason Pinnock with an abdomen injury is questionable. Jamie Gillen and Graham Gano are trending in the right direction to play in this game. The Giants released Nick McLeod, so he will not be there, of course. So nothing too crazy. Of course, no Andrew Thomas, as we know, for the rest of the year. But without Kayvon, without Thomas, it will be tough, of course, but you're facing a Carolina team that they should beat. I really do believe the Giants will win this game. I think I had it like 27-16 is my final score prediction, so I expect the Giants win. For the Panthers offense, right now, they are 29th in points per game. The Giants offense, by the way, is dead last in scoring. I did not realize that until it was pointed out, I think last weekend, but the Giants are averaging 15.4 points per game, and it's pretty embarrassing. The Giants, I saw this tweet from Rob Allen, goes by A-Team Robert. He pointed out that the Giants have been in the 15s in terms of points per game, in the 15s 3 separate times in the Daniel Jones era. In 2021, 2023, and 2024, the Giants have averaged 15 points per game on offense, which for this modern day NFL is pretty embarrassing. You have some teams averaging over 30. So yeah, that's not what you want to see. The Panthers are 30th in passing yards per game. They're 25th in rushing yards per game, so a bit better on the ground. I mentioned Jonathan Brooks may come back. That'd be big for their running game. Bryce Young has 4 starts this year. Andy Dalton has 5. For Bryce Young, he did win last week. He looked okay, too. It wasn't that bad. He's made some impressive throws the past couple games. He had that one versus Denver to Jalen Coker down the left sideline. That was a nice throw. He had a great throw to even Xavier Legette on Sunday, but the ball was intercepted. It was placed perfectly, and the Saints defender, I forget who it was, but just ripped the ball away. So it was a great throw, just went down as an interception, so pretty unlucky. But Deontay Johnson and Jonathan Mingo were traded from this team, so now their receiving core is Legette, Jalen Coker, Jatavian Sanders at tight end, and even David Moore is still playing, the guy who was once playing in Seattle with Russell Wilson back in 2018. So he's still playing. At left tackle with Noe Kwanu, Brady Christensen will be there. He's a fourth-year left tackle out of BYU. He's been playing all right this year. Damian Lewis, Robert Hunt, Taylor Moton, they have good offensive linemen there in Carolina. Their center, Cade Mays, is coming off the number 1 ranked center in PFF for Week 9. Overall, he has not had that great of a year, but right now he's on a heater, so we'll see if he can keep that up at center. Tough task, of course, with Dexter Lawrence across from him. The running game, as I mentioned, they're pretty good. Chuba Hubbard, I mentioned his fumble back in the 2022 matchup, but Chuba's had a really nice year filling in as the starter. They have Miles Sanders still on the bench, the former Eagle, but for Chuba Hubbard, he signed an extension yesterday, so that was good to see, but he was a guy who I honestly thought was like an afterthought. I remember him backing up Christian McCaffrey his rookie year and didn't really take too much of an opportunity of the McCaffrey trade when he went to San Francisco. So I thought Chuba was just a guy, but Chuba was actually not that bad. He's been a pretty good pro the last couple years. And as I mentioned, Bryce Young had some good moments last week. The stats probably weren't great, but they did get a win. I feel good for that franchise because I feel like the Panthers are just so, they're not like the 2000s Browns type bad, but they're in a tough spot right now. Their ownership, of course, could be better. So there's not many teams that have it worse than the Giants. I mean, I think watching 6 years of Daniel Jones is worse than anybody. But still, this team, they're down there. The Panthers are in a rough spot right now. And it's interesting, what will they do with their quarterback spot? Will they run it back with Bryce Young for a year 3? Will they draft a new quarterback if they're picking top 3? I lean more so they'll draft a new guy because it is a new head coach, but we'll see what happens. For the Panthers defense, they are by far the worst defense in football in points per game allowed. They allow 32.6 points per game on defense. The 31st ranked team is Dallas at 28.1. So Dallas, who is second to last in the NFL in points per game allowed, they are a whole 4.5 points better than the Panthers, sitting at 32nd overall. So the Panthers defense is beyond awful. It should be a great week for Daniel Jones. It should be a great week for Neighbors. It should be a great week for Tracy. Those guys specifically should ball out. The Panthers are 25th in passing yards allowed per game. That, of course, could be worse, but teams honestly don't have to pass the entire game versus this bad Panthers team. They are dead last in rushing yards allowed per game. They're about 10 yards per game worse than the 31st ranked run defense, which would be the Indianapolis Colts. They do have no Derek Brown, who was once a top 10 pick for them. So without Derek Brown, that run defense has been awful. They do have old friend A'Shawn Robinson, former Giant. He's there. Jadeveon Clowney is having a down year for his standards. He's still there. The secondary is not awful. I mean, J.C. Horn's still a good player. Mike Jackson, the former Seahawk at cornerback, he's not too bad either as a cornerback too. They have former Cowboy safety Xavier Woods. He had some nice years with them. Recently has not been that great. Josie Jewell's a decent linebacker. But their defense overall, it's just a defense that the Giants' offense should not struggle to score over 20 points against. If the Giants were to lose this game and go out there and have a stinker offensively and put up less than 16 points, I don't know. I'm going to be speechless. I might just come on here and just stare at the camera for 20 minutes. I just won't know what to say because it would be so embarrassing. I know it's a neutral game, neutral field, but you're basically touchdown favorites. You're facing the worst defense in football. Their best defensive player, once again, Derek Brown, is hurt. You have to go out there and score a lot of points. This should be a game where Daniel Jones pads his stats versus a bad team. And as I said, if the Giants lose this game, I'm not going to care. I'd be pretty happy about it because, Cam Ward season, Shadur Sanders season. But still, I mean, they should go out there and win this game. I had it down as 27-16. That's my final score prediction. If the Giants were to lose this one, there will be a lot to talk about over the bye week. If they win this game and get back to 3-7, I personally will not start thinking about the second half and can they make a run. But you look at their second half schedule just for shits and giggles. Home versus Tampa, at Dallas, home versus the Saints, which a month ago looked pretty bad. Now with all the Buccaneers receivers injuries, no Dak Prescott, the Saints have nobody at receiver right now with Olave out with a concussion. He might be back by then, but then again, they might shut it down with him because he's had like 5 of them the past 2 years. So those 3 games look somewhat winnable now. They do end with Baltimore, the Falcons, the Colts, the Eagles. That final month is tough, but those 3 games out of the bye, which of course at one point looked difficult, now look very winnable. So I do think this Giants team will bullshit their way to about 6 wins. They always do. They always find a way to win second half meaningless games. It's like clockwork. Start out 2-6, 2-7, then we'll start winning games when it doesn't matter and fans want to start losing, but it is what it is. So we'll see how the second half goes, but this is a game that 30 other fan bases will probably not rush to get up for. But as Giants fans, Panthers fans, we'll get up at 9:30. Even on the West Coast, it'd be 6:30, which is unimaginable. But yeah, so hopefully it's a good game. I hope the Giants put up points and can get a few touchdowns and make this an enjoyable watching experience. And yeah, they cannot lose this game. It is spread pick time. Week 9, as I said, went very well. The only games I lost were the Cowboys +3. I thought they'd win that game. They got blown out. Dak got hurt. I lost Cleveland +1. They got blown out. So when I lost by a lot, which I'd rather have than lose by 1. New England +3 was a push, and I think that was it. Every other game, it went so well. 11-2-1. On the year now, 66-57-4. So we're in a good spot right now. Very happy with that outcome. For week number, why the hell am I on this page now? Oh, I'm on the, okay. So anyway, Giants at Panthers. Giants favorites by 6.5 points. I think the Giants win by a lot. I will take the G-Men -6.5. The Patriots will be at the Chicago Bears. The Bears have been better at home this year. The Patriots are struggling. They look okay with Drake May. They have their moments, but overall not a good football team. I do think the Bears are due for a bounce back, get right game. 6 points is a lot, but I have seen this Bears team beat the crap out of some teams this year. They had that game overseas, I think it was London, where they beat up on the Jaguars pretty bad. So I'll take the Bears -6. They are due for a get right game. The Bills at the Colts. It's Buffalo -4. Interesting spread here. I thought it'd be a bit more. I do feel tempted to take the Bills. Joe Flacco looked pretty underwhelming. It was against the good Minnesota defense, but still looked underwhelming. I'll take Bills -4 here. They are the better team by a good amount. Vikings at Jaguars. Minnesota by 7 points. The Jaguars have a good amount of injuries, I feel like. It does seem like Trevor Lawrence will play this week, but it was highly questionable at one point. So Minnesota by a touchdown. I will take the Vikings. It should be good weather, good for their offense. The Vikings should put up somewhere around 30 points. So I will take Minnesota here at -7. Broncos at Chiefs. It is Chiefs by 7.5. I pretty much made the rule a couple weeks ago. If the Chiefs are on a big spread and they're favored, I just don't feel comfortable taking them. It worked last week as they went to overtime with the Buccaneers, and I think they were favorites by 9 or 9.5 in that game. So I will take the Broncos here. The Broncos at 5-4 should bounce back coming off a horrible 41-10 loss in Baltimore last week. They should look better here. Divisional matchup. I'll take the Broncos +7.5. Falcons at Saints. It's Falcons by 3.5. I just don't think the Saints have enough offensively right now. So I'm going to take the Falcons. I know Drake London is banged up, but the Falcons just have more healthy players right now. Lattimore got traded. He probably wouldn't have played anyway, but the Falcons are a much better team at this point. I'll take Atlanta -3.5. If they won by 3, I'd be pissed, but I think the process is right here. 49ers at Tampa Bay. Niners by 6.5 coming out of their bye. They are healthy now. I think the Niners have a great game in this one. I'll take San Francisco -6.5. I like them a lot. I know the Buccaneers have kept games close without Mike Evans and without Godwin, but they keep coming up short. I think they're due for a game where they lose by a good amount. this will probably be it. So San Francisco -6.5 for me. Steelers at Commanders. Commanders by 3. I do like the Steelers here. I think the Steelers are still a better overall team. I do think they're better coached. I like them with Russell Wilson more. I mean, look, I would not be surprised if the Commanders won. Obviously, they are favored for a reason, but I have not been that impressed with the Commanders the past 2 weeks. They had the Hail Mary win where they had like 12 points the entire game until the last play. They had the game versus the Giants last week where the Giants, honestly, if they were a competent team, probably win that game. So I'm not loving the Commanders right now. I will take the Steelers here. I think the Steelers are coming off a bye too, so I like that. Steelers +3. That might be my favorite bet of the week, honestly. Titans at Chargers. Chargers by 7.5. A good amount here. Does this Titans team have any fight left in them? They might. They did win last week, but I think the Chargers are a much better team. I do feel tempted to take the Chargers because they're just one of those teams that will just chew the clock and play good defense. But 7.5 is a lot. I'll stick with the Chargers. I might regret that, but I'll take Chargers by 7.5. We'll see what version of that team comes out. I like this game a lot here. Jets at Cardinals, not because I have a feel for it, but it should be a good game. Jets -1.5 on the road here at Arizona. The Jets coming off extended rest. They did look very good in the second half last Thursday. I forget who they played now. Oh, the Texans. I do feel like the Jets will win this game, so I'll take the Jets -1.5. Once again, if the Cardinals won, would not be surprised, but I think this team will be able to take away Marvin Harrison Jr. It's going to be a lot of James Conner if he stays healthy, but I still like the Jets passing offense. The Cardinals will have trouble getting pressure. It will be one of those 7-on-7 type games for Rodgers. Just give me the Jets -1.5. This game at one point looked fun. Now it's not. Eagles at Cowboys. Eagles favorites by 7.5. No surprise with Cooper Rush now as the starting quarterback for Dallas. The Cowboys are home, and I do like taking the teams with new quarterbacks. Cooper Rush is at least a decent quarterback. I know he had an awful game versus the Eagles a couple years ago, but I do think they'll keep this one somewhat close. I do think the Eagles win, of course, but I could just see the Cowboys keeping it close. So I'll take Dallas here once again, +7.5. I would not be shocked if they got blown out, but I know A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, they're not fully healthy. They'll play, but they still have some nagging injuries. So I'll just take Dallas here, +7.5. For Sunday night, Lions at Texans. Nico Collins is 50-50 to play in this game. I don't know if he will. I guess based on the spread, he probably will because the Texans are at least, well, they are home, so maybe not. But I don't know. The Lions have looked so good lately. They may be due for a bad game, but I don't know. I guess I'll take the Texans. I think the Texans can lose this game by a field goal or win it. So in that case, I'll just take Houston here +3.5 at home. This one should be fun. Dolphins at Rams, 50.5 over/under. It's right now the Rams by 1.5. The Dolphins are pretty much playing for their season here. The Rams are back to 4-4. I want to say the Dolphins win this game, but I also don't know. I really do feel this is a coin flip type of game, but I think I'll take Miami. We have one team in the Rams coming off an overtime win. We have one team in the Dolphins coming off what I believe was either a late fourth quarter loss or an overtime loss. I mean, Tyler Bass made a 61-yard field goal to beat them. The Dolphins looked good last week. They would have beat most teams. So I will take Miami. They do look much better with Tua. No surprise, but I think Miami +1.5 will be the pick here for me. Then last night we saw a great game. I mean, possibly a missed holding call there on the Ravens defense on the 2-point conversion, and Joe Burrow got hit in the face, but I didn't bet that game, so whatever. So that was a good TNF game. This game, as I said on Monday night, should be fun. For the Giants, we'll see what happens on Sunday morning. I will not have my reaction up until Sunday night, so my apologies for that, but I do want to watch the rest of the games on Sunday afternoon. So I'll talk to you guys Sunday night. I hope the Giants lose, of course, but I do think they win this game comfortably, so we'll see what happens, and I'll talk to you guys next time.